It's no mystery that the winter season we just came out of was absolutely stacked in terms of anime, with Attack on Titan Season 4, ReZero Season 2, Mushoku Tensei, and so many more titles. It was by far one of the most insane seasons of anime to honestly probably ever exist. That's why it doesn't come as much as a surprise when the spring season feels so much quieter compared to the Titan that was the winter season. I actually found myself not looking forward to the season that much because a lot of the shows felt really lackluster. As it currently stands, most of the hype in the community is towards Nagatoro-san, My Hero Season 5, and Shaman King, but there is one show that I have found that I think is really underrated and hardly anybody is talking about it. Actually, I feel like I have to make this video to get people to start watching it, and I'm going to open the doors to conversation right now about a show called Vivy, Fluorite's Song. When it comes to anime, there have not been many shows to initially grab me in the first episode. Steins Gate, Erased, ReZero, and Death Parade are some of the few that have managed to grab my attention and persuade me to keep watching with ease, but these are some of the only few that have managed to do so. I can safely say that Vivy is now included in that list of amazing first episodes, as the first episode of this show has one of the best hooks I have probably ever seen in terms of an anime. It initially starts off in what appears to be like a kind of concert, as one of the characters expresses her desire to want to bring smiles to the people around her. However, she has blood on her hands, which is a bit off-putting. The timeline then glitches a tiny little bit, and everything changes immediately, as it quickly evolves into mass murder as we watch what we later find out to be humanoid AIs murdering hundreds of humans at a place called Nealand. Nealand is an amusement park run by almost entirely AIs, and with AIs being a large portion of the draw for its entertainment. This opening scene left me in shock at how quickly it devolved, all with a happy, upbeat Vocaloid style music on top of it, to add this extra mile of surreality to it. It's also mildly terrifying how the AIs murder with a completely emotionless expression on their faces most of the time. In a last-ditch effort to change the future, a scientist sends an AI from the future called Matsumoto 100 years into the past, where he meets with Vivy, the autonomous AI, to attempt to reconstruct time itself. Autonomous here meaning she can think for herself and she has free will over her actions. Minus some programming in her, of course, because she is an AI. Vivy, also known as Diva, is basically Hatsune Miku when we first meet her. Her appearance is extremely similar, and her original name Diva is likely a nod to the series of rhythm games released known as Project Diva. Each AI is given a mission upon birth that they need to serve out throughout their entire existence, and Vivy's purpose is to make everyone smile with her music. She can manipulate her vocal cords and emulate other songs very well, but she hardly manages to garner an audience for herself, as her benches are normally empty. Her one goal from the start is to get to the main stage to perform her songs. However, that goal seems to be a long ways away from being completed. Her only little supporter is her friend Momoka, who is someone she rescued when she got lost from her dad. Momoka gives her a stuffed bear as a birthday present, and Vivy leaves to go start her next performance as she's quote-unquote hacked. This hack is Matsumoto coming into the present, and he informs Vivy about the inevitable war that will come. Since Vivy is the first AI to be self-operating, and one of the only AIs that has lived throughout these 100 years, she was the first one picked to help, and now the future, and the fate of humanity, rests in her hands. This is an excellent twist in itself of the typical AI apocalypse genre, where a human hero has to rise up against an army of AIs to save the day. For whatever reason, there seems to be a giant following for AI takeover style movies or TV shows, at least here in the West. Here we see two AIs working together to stop human terrorists and AI attacks to prevent the future from becoming a murder zone, which off the bat is taking a really big trope in this medium and flipping it on its head. The best way to put the show would be if the movie Terminator and the game Detroit Become Human had a baby. And that baby was this anime. Allow me to introduce you to Detroit Become Waifu. Vivy makes a deal with Matsumoto to go along with him to stop these certain events that eventually lead to catastrophe from happening. And it so far has been an extremely intriguing story. Vivy has been an amazing character to watch, as because of her being an AI, she is extremely selfless. She goes out of her way to save others in ways humans could not, and she displays acts of compassion and ignores her own goal to sing and make people smile often in needs of helping others. This anime is being written by Teppei Nagatsuki, which some of you may recognized as the writer of the ReZero light novels, and also being written by Eiji Umehara, the writer of the critically acclaimed visual novel Chaos Child. Umehara also worked on episode 15 and 21 of ReZero, so it's clear that Nagatsuki liked his work and wanted to make something together with him. This anime is also being made animated by none other than WIT Studio, the makers of the first 3 seasons of Attack on Titan, Vinland Saga, The Great Pretender, so on and so forth. So naturally off the bat from the studio, you know that it's going to be an absolutely gorgeous looking anime. And oh my gosh, trust me, is it beautiful. They really outdid themselves with how visually gorgeous this show is. And lastly, as far as the credits go, is to Jin Agatakawa, who worked on the soundtrack for Anohana, Fire Horse, ReZero, a certain scientific railgun, and like a lot of other shows, this guy is kind of everywhere, but he makes really good music. Honestly, with how stacked the people behind this show are, it's really not a surprise how good it's been just from the 3 episodes alone. I'll be the first to admit that this anime did not stand out to me at all, actually, and I expected it to be fairly boring. It appeared to be some kind of idol anime from its title, and I'm not normally an idol kind of guy, so I just let it slide by. But once I heard that my boy Nagatsuki was working on it, I could not have been more interested. I love this man and his work. This anime is leagues above the other shows airing this season, and honestly some of the shows that aired last season in terms of quality, story, and characters. This world feels so grounded and real that I'm completely immersed. And despite this world being completely fictional and impossible by today's standards, it feels so full of life. Every part of this world is brimming with color and vibrancy that I feel as if I could travel into town and see these buildings and this scenery there right in front of me. The characters all move so smoothly and pristinely, and everything in this show has been nothing short of gorgeous. I know I said that earlier, but seriously, I can just not stress how beautiful this looks. Wit Studios continues to impress with their dedication to bringing us absolutely stunning animation, and the story so far has been compelling as their actions do clearly have an effect on the future. I'm super invested in whether Vivy will be able to reshape time and how her character will evolve. And I love Matsumoto as his character is filled with sarcasm and energy from the moment he's brought onto the screen. However, one thing that Matsumoto does is that he keeps Vivy from doing anything that isn't related to their objective or that isn't in the calculations he has. It's completely possible that Matsumoto is not giving Vivy the complete truth, and that he is simply emulating or predicting events from calculations he's been making from things around him. He's mentioned something like this already once, and it's quite possible that Matsumoto is leading Vivy down a future to be the one that makes this first scene from episode 1 happen. For right now though, this first scene in episode 1 is probably the biggest mystery in this show. Who is the scientist? And what is his connection to Vivy? How did Vivy save him from rock bottom? Who is this dead AI on the ground? You can tell it's an AI from the amount of blood fluids pouring from its body and the color of these fluids. Who are these characters in the church? The man on the left appears to be the guy from the intro, and he's talking to an AI as indicated by the mark on her neck. Do AIs advance enough to develop romantic feelings, and are they romantically invested in one another? Who are these trio of girls? The story seems to be progressing in a form where each arc is going to be anywhere from 2 to 4 episodes long, and I could not be more excited to see how this is going to be unfolded before our eyes. As it stands right now, the first arc is easily an 8 or a 9 for me in terms of enjoyment, as it serves as a great introduction to the show and this world as a whole. As I said earlier, the story is indeed really engaging, and it is very interesting in how it is a race against time, since Vivy has to be quick in her acting and her thinking to keep certain events from transpiring. In a way, it is almost as if this story is an clock, and it is endlessly ticking towards this future that may or may not happen. The action so far has been better than most shonen airing recently, minus Jujutsu Kaisen of course. I really do think this anime is off to a genuinely amazing start. The next arc of the show seems to be taking place in space, and so far it's very interesting as we're already seeing how quickly the world around Vivy is evolving. The trio of girls in the first episode in that scene that I mentioned earlier are actually introduced in this episode of the show, as they are shown to be able to laugh, to smile, and have unique personalities from one another. They even learn to gossip and to spread rumors. It's extremely possible that these AIs can develop down the line to have emotions and have feelings such as love for one another. It is really crazy how quickly these AIs seem to be evolving. Either way, because of this evolution that has been shown, I am really interested to see how this world will grow, and how Vivy and the world will grow and change as well. If you watch this video through, do yourself a favor and go watch it. It streams new episodes every Saturday on Funimation, and I cannot express how much of an experience the show is to watch. And I don't think I'll be able to do the show completely justice in a video until it's completely out and I can talk about spoilers for it. Wit has shown itself time and time again in recent years to be one of the best studios in the modern era, and I think this anime is going to be their best work since Vinland Saga. I don't think you want to miss out on watching this anime fulfill its vision. Now it's time to answer some questions, since I did hit 5,000 subscribers. So since I did hit 5,000 subscribers, for my next 5 videos, I will be answering questions for this Q&A I've been doing, so leave some comments down below and I may or may not answer them. It just depends on how many there are. First question is a two-parter and comes from my boy Philip/Fygar from my Patreon. He asks, 1. Do you have any personal goals that you want to reach this year, YouTube related or not? Well, I do have a few goals. One of which would be to get this channel to 10,000 subscribers. I think that would be really cool. I mean, granted, this channel already has surpassed a lot of my expectations. I didn't expect to get past 100, but here we are with 5,000. I think that's actually insane. So I'd like to see how much it can keep growing, but the biggest goal I have is probably to make another movie, because my passion actually really does lie in movie making. He also asks, what are some of your favorite games? I love the Pokemon games. I absolutely adore all of them. I'm a Gen 4 guy, if you guys know what that is. I also really enjoy Overwatch, and I've been playing a lot of League of Legends. That game is so terrible, but I'm unfortunately very addicted to it. The next question comes from another one of my patrons, Hannah, and she asks, do you watch any classic anime, such as Claymore or Aughts on Toonami? I have seen a few shows that you might consider classic, but I definitely have not seen everything that I could have as regarding classics. So, not really. I'm definitely probably more of a modern anime kind of person. Our next question is from Hey, I'm Shiro, and they ask, what are your top 3 favorite anime? Well, I don't know if it's obvious after my gigantic 45-minute video that just came out on Steins Gate, but Steins Gate is my favorite show. My second favorite is ReZero, and my third favorite is probably A Certain Scientific Railgun. Although I'm not sure if I would classify it as Railgun or that entire Index series as a whole, because they all tie into one another. It's like a giant cinematic universe in anime. It's really cool. I'm gonna make videos on it eventually. The next one is from That One Red Mage, and they ask, what is your favorite snack to have when watching anime? I am a chocoholic. I will sit here and I will munch on Kit Kats and Hershey bars whenever I'm watching anime. And that is also what I get when I go to the movie theaters. I just dropped something. We're not going to talk about it. The last question for this video comes from Dynamax Sekrom, someone who has been a very avid commenter on my channel for a minute now. I appreciate this guy. They ask, what made you start your YouTube channel? So, the reason I started YouTube is because I have always had this thing for wanting to entertain people. I really enjoy making other people smile and laugh or bringing some kind of enjoyment to them. So YouTube is a way that I can give people entertainment in some kind of form, because I perfectly understand what it's like to be down in the dumps and you need some kind of pick-me-up. Markiplier did that for me a lot. And so I want to try to give people some type of form of enjoyment so that they can feel a little bit of happiness when they're down in a really low place, which I know from anime analytic content probably doesn't make too much sense, but I've had previous channels in the past that were focused on gameplay, and which would be a lot more better for that. The next question from Zekrom is, who is your waifu? Do I really need to say who my waifu is at this point? If you're in the Discord, you know, like, you really know. It's also was the profile picture of this channel for a while. She's kind of in all of my outros of all of my videos. It's 02. But anyways, that's pretty much it for this video. Thank you guys for watching so much. Big shout outs to my boys Matt and Fygar for being patrons. I love you guys a lot. I'll see you guys in the next video.